Because there's nothing saying that government is going to hold up their word. I think it's time for us to discover some truth, okay? There's some other event that took place in that same year, 1492, in the same place, Spain, with the same characters, Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand. Who will tell me what happened in January of that year? Anybody? Huh? No, the Inquisition occurred about 10 years later. Not even that, but yeah, say 10 years later. No, something important involving the people I mentioned. And the printing press wasn't invented by Queen Isabella. But nice try. Who did? Spanish defeated the Muslims? The Muslims were Spanish. Okay, let's get it straight now. Let's get it straight. For 750 years, Spain was ruled by Islam. These people were either Muslims, Jews, or Christians, and they all lived side by side doing pretty good. But something had broken out over the 50 years prior, or a little bit longer, maybe 100 years prior. The Muslims began to fight against themselves and establish small little kingdoms, competing with each other, taking away things from each other, and fighting each other, even killing each other. And then they enlisted the help of the Christians and paid them in gold to fight against each other, until the Christians had enough gold and wealth that they were pretty well on their own feet. The Christians enlisted the help. By the way, these were Christians, not Catholic. These were other than Catholic. They enlisted the aid of the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church sent in their crusaders who came over and helped them beat the Muslims down to zero. In the meantime, the rest of the Muslim world from Morocco had come over once and helped them get their dignity back, set everything back up, and they won. But the condition was, and the Emir of Morocco said, I'm not coming back and help you again if you start fighting each other. But sure enough, they began killing each other again and setting up their kingdoms the same way, which is forbidden in Islam. And this time, the Moroccan Emir did not help them, nor did Allah. And they went all the way down the tubes, as we say. And in January the 12th, 1492, the last Khalifa or Emir for Spain signed over and abdicated his position in favor of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella as representatives of the Catholic Church, and that's how they took over. That's how it came about. And there was a condition. In fact, there were a lot of conditions. One of them was that they were not going to persecute the Muslims, and they were not going to force them to accept Christianity, and that they were not going to make anybody responsible for what had happened. They would be, let's make it all neutral, call it even, we'll go back to living in peace together. They did not adhere to what they said, and by July of that year, as we already discovered, Christopher Columbus was taking off with 3 shiploads of these same prisoners, who were what? Muslims. And by the way, many of them had already been out to sea and they knew a lot. And the charts that they had, because they used charts to come over, because Christopher Columbus refers to the charts that he had. You cannot chart something where you've never been there before. And he had charts. These charts also belonged to the Muslims, and one of his first mate on the ship was a Jew, by the way. So the Jews and the Muslims had cooperated in the past, and they were trying to build something as a trade route to come over, and they had been over here to America before that. There's other proofs of that. For instance, a lot of the words from the Indians and even their tribal names were Arabic words. And in Arabic, always the name of something is preceded by the article di, owl. So you go through and find Indian words today of the different tribes that had encountered the Muslims, and you'll find words like Algonquin, and al in front of it means the. So these are just a couple of little tips for you to think about when you want to do some his story again and find out what's really going on. Christopher Columbus made 3 trips, and those 3 trips, the same people came back with him again. Why didn't they run away? Why did they come back? When people give their word as Muslims, they're not allowed to break their word regardless who they gave it to. Okay? So now we have a little bit better understanding of what's going on. You might ask the question, well, if Muslims had been here, how come that they didn't establish something like the British did? Well, because in Islam it's forbidden for us to do it that way. We're not allowed to go in and murder and slaughter people and steal their land. You say, oh, you're being awful hard on the British. No, I'm telling you what my ancestors did. The fact is that they were here in the mid-1500s. Less than 50 years after the Spanish had come here, the British came over here. They landed in a place called Jamestown. They didn't last very long. All of them died except one young boy. They brought him back in 1572. And then in 1611, another group came, and this time they couldn't make it. They were having a horrible time. They were going to die. The local Indians came to their rescue and fed them and taught them how to grow gardens and their plants, and showed them about beans, and showed them about corn, maize, how to fish over there. They showed them many things. But they still didn't succeed. In the next winter, they almost died again. So the Indians came to their rescue again and saved them again. And the next year, and the next year, and the next year. I just came back from Jamestown, and this is a part of the historic record of the United States of America. This is what they teach officially, history of the United States, that for 12 years, these people were living like parasites on the backs of the Indians. And it was not until the 12th year, when these people were totally independent and able to take care of themselves, that they stood up and began to slaughter every single one of the Indians around them. Nice folks, eh? We'll be back after some important messages. You're listening to Today Islam. We're broadcasting almost live all the way from Somerville, New Jersey. Visit us on the internet at www.todayislam.com.